This is the Death Row and Executions channel. Here is your host, Paco Rivera.
Hello, this is the Death Row and Executions channel. I'm Paco Rivera. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates and more Death Row news. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. 87-year-old Floyd Hill and his wife, 72-year-old Vera Hill, lived alone in a home on County Road 54 in Guin, Alabama. But some of their adult grandchildren that lived nearby frequently checked on them. Floyd and Vera had been married 55 years. They were known to hold yard sales frequently to pass the time. Vera was in poor health, and Floyd was caring for her by administering to her various prescription drugs. Floyd was known by employees of the local Amico service station, where a man named JoAnn Mills was formerly employed, and where Floyd, known to carry large sums of money, often removed a large wad of cash from his pocket to pay for gas. During the evening hours of June 24th, 2004, just as it was starting to get dark outside, Angela Jones went to the home of her grandparents to check on them after calling several times during the day and not being able to reach them on the telephone. The cars were there, so they appeared to be home, but the doors were locked and nobody would come to any of the doors when she knocked. Angela became worried and she contacted the Guin Police Department to do a wellness check at the home. Angela told the arriving officer that others from her family last spoke to her grandparents by phone at about 2 o'clock that afternoon, but they wouldn't answer the phone anymore after that call. The officer then used his cell phone to dial the home, and even though the call went through just fine, there was no sound of a ringing telephone inside the house, and he found that strange. The officer then went to search around the property and looked into a storage shed where the Hills kept most of their yard sale items. There he discovered the bodies of Floyd and Vera Hill on the floor and a lot of blood around them. Floyd was deceased, but he saw Vera's arm move and she was breathing. He immediately called for an ambulance and she was transported to Winfield Hospital. Upon conducting a search of the Hills' home, it was discovered that Floyd's wallet, Vera's purse, and a green fishing tackle box containing Vera Hill's medication had been taken, and the telephone line was cut. After being treated for significant brain injuries, Vera Hill died 3 months later on September 12, 2004. On the night of the crime, investigators interviewed the Hills' next-door neighbor, Jennifer Yaden, and were informed that she had noticed a white, late-model, 2-door sedan going by her house several times earlier that day. She also observed this same car parked in the Hills' driveway. Police officers informed the detectives that a local man named JoAnn Mills drove a car matching that description. In a town with a population of only 2,000 residents, that probably wasn't so difficult to figure out. A patrol unit was sent to the residence of Jamie and his wife, JoAnn Mills, but it appeared no one was home. They then had surveillance placed on the home. The following day, officers observed Jamie and JoAnn Mills leaving their residence and got inside a small, white, 1990 2-door Nissan Infiniti M30. It was the same car seen by Floyd and Vera Hill's neighbor. The police officers blocked the driveway and JoAnn Mills was transported to the police station for questioning. JoAnn Mills denied any knowledge of the Hills incident and stated that he and JoAnn were in Brilliant, Alabama all day on June 24th looking at houses, and then went to visit his father in Hamilton, Alabama, where he and JoAnn spent the night. He also denied knowing or ever meeting Floyd Hill, which investigators would later learn as very unlikely since Mills worked at the gas station where Floyd was a regular customer. Investigators then went to the Mills home to question his wife, JoAnn Mills, who has had plenty of legal troubles of her own related to drugs in the past. JoAnn gave consent for the detectives to search their home and the car. That was a big mistake. Thank goodness these criminals are stupid. In the car, detectives observed the green fishing tackle box that was described to them as containing Vera's medication. They also found a large blue duffel bag splattered with blood. JoAnn Mills was arrested. Jamie Mills was also arrested and charged with capital murder. That duffel bag in the car also contained Floyd Hill's driver's license, other documents belonging to the Hills, and all the murder weapons with blood and hair on them, proved by DNA as coming from Floyd and Vera Hill. A machete, a hammer, and a lug nut tire tool. Also in the bag was a large, heavy cinder block that did not come from the home of the victims. That item was placed in the bag by the perpetrators, with the intent of sinking that bag in a body of water somewhere. But they obviously didn't know police were going to be onto them so quickly and never got a chance to sink the duffel bag. JoAnn Mills would later say that that is where they were headed when police blocked their driveway. JoAnn Mills would later testify that on June 23rd, 2004, the day before the murders, she and Jamie Mills had stayed up all night smoking methamphetamine. The following day, later in the afternoon, they went to Webster's Market to buy cigarettes. Later, they stopped in a parking lot to talk to JoAnn's cousin for a while, and after leaving there, they went to the home of Floyd and Vera Hill. She said that her husband told her that he was going there to get money. According to JoAnn, her husband and Floyd Hill obviously knew each other and referred to each other by first name upon entering the house. After entering, Jamie Mills attempted to make several phone calls from the house phone while JoAnn spoke with the elderly couple. JoAnn says that Vera Hill wanted to show her some of their yard sale items that were stored in the shed. Because it was raining, Floyd went to unlock the shed door and opened it while Vera, Jamie Mills, and JoAnn waited on the porch. Floyd then returned and gave the women the umbrella. Floyd later followed them all back to the shed. After the Hills had shown the Mills their yard sale items, Jamie Mills continued to talk to Floyd Hill in the storage shed while the two women walked back to the porch. JoAnn Mills testified that she heard a loud noise and saw her husband Jamie Mills with something raised over his shoulder, and he was swinging it. JoAnn followed the older woman Vera back to the shed to see what was happening there. Upon entering the shed, JoAnn saw Floyd Hill lying on the ground, and she saw Jamie Mills hit Vera Hill in the back of the head with a hammer. When Vera Hill attempted to get back up, he struck her again. JoAnn stated that she stood with her eyes closed as she listened to the sound of Jamie Mills repeatedly striking the elderly couple, Floyd and Vera Hill. Jamie Mills then handed to her a bloody hammer, a tire tool, and a machete, and they exited the shed. Inside the Hills' home, they went throughout the house and took the green tackle box with Vera's medication, Floyd's wallet, Vera's purse, about $140 in cash, and some other items, and then returned to their home on County Road 83. It appears they had locked all the doors to the victim's house because that is how it was found. Afterward, Jamie Mills called a drug dealer named Benji Howe, who came over to their home on County Road 83, and Mills purchased some pain pills from him. Sometime later, they went to Jamie's father's house in Hamilton, Alabama, to play dominoes and spend the night. The only thing that JoAnn said that matched what Jamie Mills had told detectives earlier. 3 years later, in 2007, Jamie Mills was convicted, and a jury voted 11-1 to sentence him to death. JoAnn Mills received a life sentence, but she will be considered for parole in December of the year 2027, a little more than 3 years from now. Even though the previous execution that took place in Alabama was done with the use of nitrogen gas, the state is set to use drugs when they execute JoAnn Mills. Please remember to subscribe for more of these death row and upcoming execution stories. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. Take care. I am Paco Rivera, and bye for now.